people. It's for everyone. And I'm really, really fired up and excited. And, the other person I really want to acknowledge, always, 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 is our fearless Brian Benson, CEO of Aurum. And, he and his team, what they're doing behind the scenes, they've either built what you're currently seeing, which is mind-boggling, or they're right now in the process of now bringing even more and more, not only tools and not only infrastructure, but credibility, to the Aurum ecosystem. Thank you so much, Brian. And I said, if it wasn't really for Brian and Ahmed, I wouldn't be here. Because it was the credibility of Brian with his background with Morgan Stanley and being a pioneer in Binance when nobody knew who Binance was. There was a time where nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew it, but Brian had a vision and he said, that's the future. And he was correct. Well, everybody and his peers and his relatives and the friends were all saying, you're crazy. That's not a good thing, right? Like we're hearing a lot of. So thank you, Brian Benson. Leonardo Galindez, you're going to be hearing a lot from Leonardo. Why is that? Because he is the CEO of the Aurum Exchange. I just got to tell you, I am, and you need to be fired up about what's happening on the exchange. And why is that? Because 50%, 50, not 15, 50% of all of the fees that are going through that exchange, and just think of the exchanges that you're already well familiar with, Binance or MEXC or KuCoin or OKX or any exchange, crypto.com. Imagine if they made an announcement, which they never will, that they're going to share with the people. They're going to share with the people 50% of all of the fees and the revenues that are coming through the exchange. I don't think you would be sleeping, right? But this is the genius of what, it's another piece of this puzzle that is just mind-boggling. So thank you so much for that and all the work that you guys continue to do. And the entire corporate team, by the way, the entire technical team, what's happening behind the scenes. If you knew, we're moving at the speed of light right now. We're moving very, very, very quick, but it's not happening through one person. It's an entire team that's working practically 24/7 on your behalf to make this bigger, better, faster, stronger, to build the infrastructure and so on. So what I want to do always on the mastery call is really start off, and you need to take notes, and we're talking about being a professional and an amateur. We're going to get into the details, but really what really stands out and what continues to amaze me every single day, every week, every month is the amazing credibility that is surrounding Aurum. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's the first thing that I'm looking at is this credible? Is it a guy in his basement trying to figure something out and decides to involve some people? No, this is a massive, massive credibility behind the foundation. With the Forbes magazine, with Brian on the Forbes Crypto Advisory, the Entrepreneur magazine, top 10 crypto companies were nominated as one of the top 10 crypto companies to invest in 2026. These are clues. Right? These are clues. With Brian Benson speaking on the largest crypto stages in the world, it's just amazing. And everywhere he goes, guess what he's talking about? He's talking about Aurum. He's talking about the Aurum Foundation. He's talking about AI finance, which is a whole new sector that even, I don't know, let's call it 6 months ago, people didn't know what is AI finance. And here we are at Aurum making AI finance known to the world. That's the opportunity. Again, I hope I'm not the only one fired up and excited about what's happening. With Brian also was invited to the Satoshi Roundtable. And this is an event that you can't just buy a ticket and attend. You have to be invited, and it's literally a handful of CEOs in the blockchain space that are invited, and he was invited, and also to Consensus Hong Kong and many, many, many other major events. And again, I can't stress enough that while Brian is traveling the world, talking at these events, he's introducing AI finance to the world, talking about AI finance. Can you get rich with AI finance, and we'll talk about his vision because he answers that question. What I want to do just before we get into the meat of this is I want to go to, let's see if we can pull this up here. And I want to share with you, yeah, right here. I just want to share with you this, to talk about credibility. I want to talk about credibility. You've seen it, but as a professional, you need to start memorizing some of this stuff. You need to start. It's got to roll off the tip of your tongue. Now, what I want to show you here, what's so impressive, this is just in February. All right, not since Aurum was born, right? Not since our launch, not since Aurum had started operating over a year ago as a partner division, but just in February. Brian Benson was featured in Crypto Rank. Aurum was in Cryptopolitan, CoinMarketCap, Binance Feed, MSN, MEXC, CCN, Crypto News. Are you getting the idea? Start to try to memorize some of this so that you can you have this credibility as one of the first things when you're introducing Aurum to people. There are a lot of projects. There's a lot of projects out there, but most of them have no credibility. It's a hope and a wish and a dream. They don't have they don't have a massive foundation built underneath, of which the partners can come in now and build anywhere in the world. And so here's another thing that just was announced. We had our CEO, Brian Benson, come on, and Ahmed Zen. And this you really want to know. Why? Because it's even more credibility coming to Aurum. And the Aurum Foundation has entered. If you haven't already heard, you better hear, and you want to pay attention to what's happening. But we have a strategic partnership with Clink Gold and, listen carefully, the government of Sierra Leone. Hello? The government of Sierra Leone. All right? That's called credibility. All right? And what we're doing is we're scaling the tokenization of what? Physical gold. And we're expanding access to the gold-backed financial products within the Aurum ecosystem. Pay attention to this. And now as an Aurum partner, not only can you get involved with the bots and with the Visa cards and the exchange, now we're starting the RWA project, and the first release was just announced. This is huge. And again, talking about credibility, this is just what I want to open up here. We've got Nick Patel. Here's a clue, right? 25 years in global finance, and he's also the CEO of Bank of Bullion. All right, these are clues as to what? Credibility. So when I hear people say, hey, Shane, I got a call and someone said that Aurum thing is never going to work. All right. You're telling me that your friend who told you that this is not going to work is smarter than the CEO of Bank of Bullion, because they're partnering with Aurum. Right? And this is what I'm talking about. And in addition, we've got Bakari Koloko, and he is the chief of African relations. Now, listen carefully, pay attention here. These are the things that you want to kind of memorize a little bit, or just, again, if you're watching live, maybe go to YouTube and watch over and over again. He's the ex-deputy finance minister of a country, Sierra Leone. Hello? He's the CEO of Clink Mining, and he's also got over 25 years of finance and banking. This is a clue. So when I hear people call and they say, hey, Shane, I had somebody who never did anything, had no success. Success leaves clues, but no success. But they're telling me that Aurum is not going to work. Okay, what you're really telling me is that you're smarter than someone that was the ex-deputy finance minister of a country. All right, okay, great. Have a great day. I hope this is making sense for you here. So there we go. So right with that, for all the brand partners that are, I want to address the partners that are just getting started. If you're just getting started in Aurum, I want to make sure, because we've got a lot of brand new partners, and I don't want to forget you and go too quickly. I know we've got a lot of partners that have been here. I could tell by the chat when I ask a question, some of the responses were, yeah, they've been on this call because they knew the answer, right? But if you're just getting started and you're here for the first time, And if we haven't met, my name is Shane Morand, and I'm honored to be Aurum's Chief Network Development Officer. I'm fired up about this. When I found out about Aurum and about the project, and I learned about the powerful vision that Brian Benson is telling the world. What is his vision, right? And we'll come across. We'll talk about that in a second here. When I heard the story, I came to the conclusion that this Aurum is one of those rare opportunities you hear about, but they only come along every 10 to 15 years. That's my opinion. That was my conclusion. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to contribute what I can to help grow the network all over the world and help each and every partner just become the best of the best of the best and grow your network bigger, better, faster, stronger than you even thought was even possible. And I believe that Aurum is positioned right now. It's just perfectly positioned, and it has all the ingredients right now to become a multi-billion-dollar giant in the AI finance sector. All right. And again, when I met Brian for the first time face to face, I asked him one of the first questions. I said, Brian, what's your vision? I want to know what the CEO's vision. Don't you want to know what the CEO's vision is? Of course you do. All right. And most people, if you ask them the vision of their company, the vision of where they're going, they couldn't tell you what the vision is. With Brian, he didn't even blink. He just said, Shane, I want to create 1,000 millionaires who are not millionaires right now, today. They're not millionaires, but I want to create, and how we're going to do that is getting them onto the platform and getting them to build a network of other customers and other partners that are using this platform called Aurum. All right. Pretty exciting. I like that idea. How many? Now, let me ask you a question, right? You just heard that Brian's vision is to create 1,000 millionaires, right? How many want to volunteer to become one of those millionaires? Can I see your hands, right? Put your hand up no matter what. I can see you. Put your hand up. Of course, I do. I will volunteer to become one of those 1,000 millionaires. Okay, now there's already several. Now there's not 1,000, but there's already several. And how are they going to become millionaires? By learning about AI finance, learning about the platform, learning about the ecosystem, and promoting it to customers and partners all over the world. Not everyone is going to want to become a partner. And it's perfectly fine for someone, there are so many people that I hear the stories every day that, this person got involved, but they just wanted to be a customer to see how this platform worked. And all of a sudden they couldn't stop talking about Aurum. They couldn't stop talking about the results that they were achieving in such a short period of time. And it's kind of natural kind of referral, right? When you have a good product, when you have a good service, if it's really good and you're really happy with it, it's natural to tell someone that you know, that you like, that you trust. It's just natural, just like it would be when you see a great movie, for example. So let's start off today's call by making it very clear. I'm not your financial advisor. That's not my role. That's not my expertise. That's not what I do. The same way that you're also not anyone's financial advisor as well. When you're going out to introduce, your role is not to become a financial advisor, right? As a partner, your role is really to grow your customer base, to grow your partner network locally first. You can do it locally first, but guess what? Aurum is worldwide. This is global. And so what you want to do is you want to learn how to introduce people to the concept, first of all, of AI finance and to our AI finance ecosystem, which I believe we are leading the world right now. We are leading the world in AI finance, and that's pretty exciting. I don't know. I get fired up when I just think about where we are and the timing that hardly anybody has ever heard of Aurum, has ever heard of AI finance and all the products and services that are so amazing to me that they really speak for themselves. Just like, again, I want to give you the example of someone, for example, or you, that when you see a great movie, right? When you go and see it and you really enjoyed it, it was a great movie, it was entertaining, and what do? You go and tell your friends, hey, what did you do on the weekend? Oh, I saw this amazing movie, right? And now here's the thing, I want you to really get this. if you see a good movie, right, and you're excited about the movie and the experience that you had at the theater, you don't have to produce the movie to tell a friend. You don't have to direct the movie. You don't have to become an actor to tell your friends. You don't even have to remember most of the movie. You just have to tell them it was a great movie and then point them to the theater or give them the name of the movie. And that's what I'm talking about with Aurum is the same thing. We're not selling and convincing anybody of anything. We're pointing them to the ecosystem. Let the ecosystem explain. Let the, and let the presentations, we'll talk about that in a second here. But again, for the benefit of our new partners, if you're just brand new, welcome aboard. You fasten your seatbelt. You are in for an incredible, incredible journey, and welcome aboard. So, what I want to do is just talk a little bit about the Aurum Weekly Mastery Call. What is the purpose of this call? What are we doing? What are we trying to achieve here on the weekly call? It's really designed for partners. So if you're a partner, this is the call, right? If you're a partner that is looking to grow your network bigger, better, faster, stronger, every week we're going to share information to help you do that. Everything that I've already talked about, this information about even the credibility, this is all going to help you build. If you understand, the first thing is credibility, go to the credibility. So again, whether you're just brand new getting started or those who are on these calls every single week with their teams, that's a clue, and you've already built a large organization, during the pre-launch, this is, again, where you want to bring your team, where you want to gather your team to get that little, what if one idea, and I'm telling you, we're going to share millions of dollars worth of ideas and concepts, but what if one little idea sparks someone in your team, gets them thinking a little bit different about their business, gives them an idea of how they can grow their network bigger, better, fast. What would that be worth to you, right? A lot. So remember, at this point, it again amazes me that the Aurum Partner Division officially launched in January. We're talking 3 months. Officially launched, all right? They were practicing and in pre-launch, all right, for about a year and a little bit now, but the official launch was just in January. So if you're on this call and you're positioned and you're a partner, welcome. You're one of the first in the world to really, understand what Aurum is. And again, whether you're a professional networker or you have zero experience, this call is for you, okay? We're going to break it down in such an easy, simple way that everyone, no matter what, everyday people are going to be able to understand how to move from that amateur, meaning not getting paid at all, to becoming a professional and getting paid more money than you can possibly spend. So again, the Aurum Mastery Call is not an introduction to Aurum. That's not our purpose, right? There's a lot of amazing calls. Make sure you're subscribed to the Telegram, to the official Telegram, because they're always posting all the different calls in all the different languages. And I want to thank also, just before we go further, all the translators that are here. I'm sorry if I'm going so fast. I just get fired up. So the translators must be having maybe a little more difficult. I'll try to slow it down a little bit. But again, I get excited about this. That's why I'm here. And again, we're not going to be talking about the generous compensation plan that Aurum has put together. There are other calls that will focus on that, or about the amazing breakthrough technologies that Brian Benson has either already built or is in the process of building and introducing behind the scenes with all the technical teams that are all over the world. That's not what we're going to be discussing. So if you're looking for technical information, we have calls that discuss the technical, but this is a weekly call really to help serious partners, gain information that'll help you build not only in your local, but eventually in your global networks. And you'll be able to build bigger, better, faster, and stronger, and to help more and more partners, again, move, this is the topic here, from amateur to professional. That's the goal. No matter where you are on the journey, we're going to help you do that no matter where you are, whether you're just getting started or whether you're already consider yourself a top professional. Then what happens as your team starts to learn these simple strategies? Watch how fast, again, your organization starts to build bigger, better, faster, stronger. So one of the concepts that I want to bring forward is that we want to create like a global unified strategies that are easy to understand. They're not technical, they're easy for everyday people to understand. So whether we're in Japan, or you saw at the beginning of this call all of the countries and all of the different languages that are being represented on this call, what if we had strategies that were unified? Meaning they work in Japan as they work in Canada, as they work in Europe, as they work in Malaysia or Mongolia or wherever you're from, Australia, New Zealand. They work anywhere, and they're simple and easy for everyday people in every language. Again, the goal is to help you grow your network. And so, we talk about, and again, on previous calls, we always talk about the foundation of building the network is to stay in zone one. If you were on the calls from the beginning, you understand very clearly what zone one is. If you don't know what zone one is, well, that's where all the money is in Aurum, is in zone one. And again, I'm going to refer you to the YouTube channel and just look up the zone one calls. Why would it be important to you if you don't know what that is? Because that's where the money is. If you want to know where the money is, go to the zone one call. Very easy and simple. We'll talk a little about it today. And to even answer questions like, simple is, what is AI finance, right? What does it mean? What is AI finance? Can we simplify it? What is Aurum? Well, Aurum's AI finance. Well, what's AI finance? If we can simplify the answer to what is AI finance so that everyday people can say, yeah, that's what I got it. And like what I like to say, and you might want to take some notes here. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. AI finance is like, have you ever noticed how most people are kind of getting sick and tired of having their money sit in the bank for many years now, earning zero or very, very small amounts, but the fees probably outweigh any small yield that you can receive in the bank? Have you noticed that people are kind of getting tired of that? Right. And while we know that the money's sitting in the banks are using that money to profit. Okay. I'm smiling because it's just every time I have this conversation with people, they go, yeah, a lot of people are starting to notice that. Right. Well, with Aurum, they're using AI to get your capital, to get your crypto working for you 24/7. That's pretty well as easy as I can break it down. And I had a conversation with Brian not too long ago. We were talking about how do we break this down so that it's easy for everyday people to understand what we're involved with here. And he said, Shane, you know what AI is, right? And I'm not a technical guy, but I said, yeah, I know AI, like ChatGPT and Claude and all these. Yeah, it's, you can ask it a question, or you can, say AI. Most people by now know what AI is. And he goes, you know what finance is, right? And it's like, finance is like money. He goes, exactly. So you know what AI is and you know what money is. Now imagine if we program at a very, very awesome level that we're programming the AI to take that crypto, to take that capital and make it work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You're sleeping, you're on the beach, and it's passive. You don't have to learn how to read charts. You don't have to learn to put your stops and blow up your account. None of that. It's passive, right? So easy and simple. What is AI finance? So you want to practice kind of answering those two questions. What is Aurum? Aurum's AI finance. And what is AI finance? AI finance is, again, having the AI programmed use of that capital, generating money over and over and over again. All right. Hope that makes sense. Let's get rolling and fire it up, man. I'm excited. You are too. We're talking again. We talked about the topic here is how to go from professional or from amateur to professional. I want to share that with you here in a second. Let's just go up here, blow this up. We're going to share this with you. We'll just play it. There we go. That should work, right? Yeah. All right. We talked. So the answer, if you came in late or if you're just joining us here, we're talking about today about being an amateur, being a professional. What is the difference? The bottom line, I'll save you a lot of time here. Amateurs don't get paid, right? Professionals get paid. So what I want you to do, starting from right now, is I want you to visualize and I want you to communicate to yourself in a way that you would ask yourself the question, what do I need to do to show up like a professional? What do I need to do? How do I wake? How does a professional, if I was a professional, if you're brand new getting started, you're an amateur now, but you want to become a professional, you start showing up like a professional. You start speaking, and I don't mean fancy. The professionals that I'm going to show you keep it really, really simple and easily duplicatable, but we want to get more and more people. Can you get excited about moving your business, moving your enterprise from amateur to professional? Do you think you can get excited about that? I know everybody I talk to say, yeah, let's give us some ideas. Let me just compare for a second. For example, professionals make a decision, not a wish, right? They treat their Aurum enterprise like a business, like a multi-million-dollar business, although it only cost $19.99 per year. Okay, so less than $20, but it's not a $20 business. So what the professionals do is when they subscribe for $19.99, they imagine that they just invested $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, whatever that number is, right? So treat it like, how would you show up if you invested $1 million or $2 million? If you put your whole families, all the money that you're saving, and you had written a check, for $1 million or $2 million, and say, look, if I don't achieve X in a year, I lose that money. How would you show up? You'd show up like a professional, right? And so what professionals do is they treat it, first of all, like a business, like a real enterprise. They show up and they're serious about their business. And they do what's called non-negotiable activities that move them forward. What are the non-negotiable, let's say, daily activities that we're talking about? Again, in zone one would be, they're going to be introducing people all day long. When they're running into someone, they're going to introduce them. What are they going to do? They're going to be following up with people, right? Introducing, they're going to be following up, and they're going to be helping brand new customers or brand new partners get started, to log in, to show them what to do to get started using the platform. All right, that's a professional. What the amateurs do is they just work whenever it's convenient, when they feel like it. They're not treating their business like a multi-million-dollar enterprise. They're treating it like, well, let's see, let's flip a coin and see if this is going to work, right? And that's why they can never build momentum with that. And so if you just had the attitude, if you just had convinced yourself that you just put $1 million, let's just use $1 million. Imagine how you would respond if you had invested $1 million in your enterprise, setting up the software to set up the platform. If you put $1 million in, how would you show up? How would you respond to someone say, it's never gonna work, right? And you've got $1 million that you've put into your infrastructure. You're going to respond a little bit differently than the amateur that's thinking, it's only $20 for the year, and if I lose it, I lose it, right? You see the difference? Professional, amateur, pick a side and start talking to yourself like a professional. You'll get there. Everyone will get there. Professionals show up whether they're inspired or tired or not feeling well. I can give you example after example after example. For a fact, without getting into any details, the first time I went to Dubai, I had been there for a couple of weeks, and I wanted to meet with Ahmed, right? And unfortunately, during my trip to Dubai, he had a challenge come up, and he was hospitalized. Can you believe it? He was in the hospital, and then it came to the point where I was leaving, and I really wanted to meet him, and he really wanted to meet me to get together, right? And what he did is this is true story, talking about you show up, you do what you say you're going to do. He really wanted to meet me, so he got his secretary, his assistant, right, who's awesome, to break into the hospital and get him out of there, right? So he left the hospital 3 days before he was supposed to leave. That's called showing up, inspired no matter what, not feeling well. That's what I'm talking about. And I know for a fact, Brian Benson has been traveling all over the globe, and he has an injury. All right, he had a serious injury, and he's still going out there because he said he was going to do it. That's what leaders, that's what professionals do. I worked with an individual. His name is Rod Smith. He's the all-time leading pass receiver for the Denver Broncos. Amazing, amazing, amazing person. And one day, I'll never forget, I asked him just out of curiosity, I said, he played in the NFL. He has two Super Bowl rings, two of them. So he plays in the NFL and 14 years. He was in the NFL for 14 years as a wide receiver. You know, in American football, when they run down the field and it's the guys that are catching the ball from the quarterback, you know, they have to be super, super fast. But I asked him, just out of curiosity, I don't even remember why I asked him the question, but I said, Rod, have you ever played injured? Okay, listen to the question. Have you ever played injured? And he said, all of the time. He said, in 14 years, he doesn't remember ever playing without an injury. So, although he was injured all of the time, he was on the field. He was practicing. He was going, going, going. That's what professionals, that's what they do. They don't sit on the sidelines just because they got a sore leg or they've got a little bit of a headache or they're not feeling well. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Imagine if you ran and if you thought about your business in a way that how professionals show up, because the bottom line is that commitment pays. When you're committed, it pays, right? Not convenience. And so, again, you might be thinking of yourself as I go through some of these points with you. You might be thinking of someone within your organization, within your network, within your partner network. They say, you know what? They need to hear this because if all we did was just help more and more people move toward, they don't have to become a top 10 professional in the world, but moving them towards, from amateur, move them along to the professional realm. And the first thing is your thinking. I want everyone to just, no matter where you are, think like a professional. Wake up in the morning like a professional. When you're introducing someone to the Aurum opportunity, to the Aurum as a customer or as a partner, think like a professional. How would a professional handle this? And we'll talk about some ideas as we go through. Professionals have a long-term vision, right? In our training, in our 4-step training, if you haven't heard that, back up to mastery. We talked about this before, but professionals are always thinking long term. And what we're saying here is that when you have a new partner start, don't just start and say, see how it goes until the first person says no and I'm going to quit. I mean, I've had those calls with some of the partners. We'll call and they'll ask questions and say, you know what, I don't think this is going to work. And I said, why wouldn't it work? What are you talking about? And they said, well, I had this one guy and he said it's not going to work, so I'm out. Well, what we're recommending is that give it 18 months, right? Give your business, give your enterprise. It's going to take some time to build out your network. It's going to take some time to learn. It's going to take some time. Be patient and make a promise, not to me or to Ahmed or to Brian or to Aurum or to your sponsor. Make a commitment to your family that for once in your life, you're going to give it 18 months. Now, after 18 months, if you can't figure this out, if you can't see the genius in this ecosystem, then you need to do something else. Okay, I agree, but give it some time. And then when you hear Brian Benson talk, he's a professional. He's talking about 10-year vision. All right, he's talking about a 10-year vision. What we're saying as a partner, as you bring on a new partner, ask them for that 18-month commitment to themselves. Give it time to learn. So professionals are thinking long term. They're not thinking about the fast money. I need the fast money. If I don't make money this afternoon, I'm out. Right? There's a lot of that craziness. And again, when that happens, when that thinking like an amateur seeps in, whether to your partner or if it's within you, if you're just thinking short term, I need to make money this week or this month or short term, it's going to handicap you. Might as well just put handcuffs on the back and tie your legs. It's going to be much, much more difficult when you've got a short term kind of hypey mentality. I hope this makes sense. I hope you're getting fired up. I hope you can think of people that are or maybe partners that are in your network that need to hear this information. And imagine, I just want you to keep imagining what would happen if all of your partners, whether it's a small group or a massive group, if all of your partners started to just make this small little shift and started thinking more like a professional, moving towards the professional rather than slipping back into amateur thoughts. All right? All right. And so if you want to build something, and this is what I would highly recommend, you want to build something that lasts, something that's going to be here for generations to come. Stop chasing the next wave. Don't just chase the next wave. This is the tide, right? You become the tide, right? You become the movement. It's your responsibility on that. And so again, the professionals, what you'll notice, and you can look at the top income earners. They're all, if you just study the top income earners, you're going to notice something is that they are system driven. They have a system, a method of operation. We talk about this on Mastery, and this is what we're putting together: a simple, easy, duplicatable system and a method of operation from a daily standpoint, from a weekly standpoint, from a monthly standpoint, from a quarterly, from an annual standpoint that people can duplicate. So you want to become system driven. You want to rely on a system. That's what professionals do. They trust the system. What am I talking about? I'm talking about tools. Like I'm talking about the presentations that are available on instant replay if you want, or the live Zooms that are available in so many languages right now. And we're going to have more and more and more languages, and we're going to have these presentations. That's a system. When you're able to take a prospect, for example, someone that you want to introduce to Aurum, and in the beginning, you don't want to be talking about the whole thing. You might not be comfortable, but you can point them to a live Zoom and say, hey, at this time, go to the live Zoom, and they're going to introduce you to Aurum and the concept, and let the presenter, do the hard work. That's called system driven, right? So that you don't have to do it all by yourself. I'm going to be sharing with you something about three-way calls, all right? What is a three-way call? I'm going to share this with you later on. And for some of you, it's going to blow your mind in terms of how simple this is and how easily you can duplicate a three-way call and how impactful and how powerful it is. You know what amateurs do? They just wing it. With this person here, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say, and then with this person over here, I'm going to do it this way. And if it's two people, then I'm going to do it a different way. And there's no rhythm, there's no system. They're relying on their charisma. And again, the challenge with doing this, with winging it, it could work, but it could only work for a short period of time. As your team starts to see what you're doing, they're thinking, I could never do what this person's doing, so I'm out, right? But what if you had a system? What if you were relying on a system? Step one, watch this video. Or step one, come to the Zoom, right? Or it could be whatever the system. We're going to break it down for you as we move forward here on the Mastery Call. Watch this presentation. Here's how you follow up. Here's how we're going to help people get started. Here's how we're going to onboard. And it just becomes like easy, simple, that everybody can duplicate it. And that is how, when you've got a system that starts duplicating, that's how you grow your network much, much faster. So in other words, if what you're doing cannot be duplicated, you can't grow it, okay? And that's why it's better to take a step back and to watch your daily method of operation, see what it is that you're doing, and you want to make sure that, is it something that can we just put together a few simple actions that can be duplicated by a large group of people, right? And consistently. So if it's too complicated, it's not going to duplicate. You're going to look smart. If you could do something really complicated, the person can say, man, you're like a genius, but I cannot duplicate that. And so I'm out. I can't do it. But if you do it, if you're pointing them, for example, to a Zoom, or if you're pointing them to a video, if you're introducing them in an easy, simple way where you're not even doing the introduction, you might say a few words to them about AI finance, how exciting it is, but then you're going to point them to the information that they go ahead. And now what they're thinking is, what did that person just do? They just showed me this video and I'm really interested. I could do this. I could show the video. Do you see what I'm saying? This is what makes millionaires. This is what's going to make Brian Benson's dream and vision of creating 1,000 millionaires. It's going to become a reality, right? This will evidently become a reality because we're going to do it on purpose. We're going to create a few simple, and that's what we're doing. This is exactly what we're doing. This is exactly what Mastery is all about. And so what else? Professionals and amateurs, right? The professionals don't miss the training. You never, if you're a professional, right? One of the things, again, we say in the first 18 months, never miss a training that you're qualified to attend. You're not going to be qualified to attend all the trainings because as you grow your network, the different leaders are going to need different training to get them to the next level and to the next level and to the higher levels that the brand new partner doesn't need that training right now. They need a different training. Does that make sense? But if you're a professional, you don't miss a training that you're qualified to attend. If you're qualified to attend a training, do not miss it, right? And the professionals bring their teams, right? And you're listening to this call, you're here, congratulations. Imagine if your entire team was either on this call right now, talking about professional, talking about amateurs, and if your entire team was on the call and they start to learn a little bit about the difference and they start to see within themselves that they can move towards professional. Even if they don't have any experience, they could move the needle to become a professional, you know? And what professionals do is they bring their team to the training, they share the energy, and they always asking, what's next? How can we build bigger, better, faster, stronger? What does an amateur do? An amateur says, if I feel like it, I'm going to jump on the training call. You know, if I have a headache, I'm not, no. Or I'm hungry, I'm going to eat rather than jump on the live call. Live call is ultimate. You can watch the replay. It's not quite the same as being right here, right now on the live call, but they don't plug into the system. They don't even know there's a system, you know, and they keep on wondering why their business isn't growing, but yet we've got everything in place. Aurum has everything in place to help fulfill the vision of creating 1,000 brand new millionaires. And if you're not excited about that, I mean, I can't help you anymore, right? I get fired up, right? So every event, this is so important. Every event, every opportunity call that you miss, your team misses 10 times over. It's a compound effects. Don't miss the events. If you're inviting people to the Zoom, and get on those Zoom calls just to learn a little bit more, just to learn. And eventually you will be doing the presentations, right? And so this is so, so important. Do not create excuses for why you weren't there. Be the example. You are the leader of your network. You're the leader of your enterprise. You are the CEO of your own enterprise. Be the example that you're on these calls, that you're on the training, that you're learning, that you're growing. And so when you're communicating with your team, they know. You know, they know that you're on the call. They know that you're not on the call. They know that you never attend the call. But if you're on this call, everybody knows you're here, right? And so this is this gets really, really exciting. The other one of the final things I just wanted to touch today regarding professionals is that the professionals, they take full responsibility. They understand that if they're going to grow their enterprise in their local market, if they're going to grow if they're going to grow their enterprise bigger, better, faster, stronger, they take responsibility. It's up to me, right? If it is to be, it's up to me. If it is to be, it's up to me. You know, when the results dip, they look in the mirror and they ask, what can I do better? If the results aren't where they want, they're always asking, how can I do it better? How can I introduce more people? How can I follow up with the people I've introduced? How can I help the people that are interested? How can I help them get started? They're always asking. That's what professionals do. And that's why professionals get paid, all right? That's the difference. Now, amateurs, they just keep pointing the finger. This is a beautiful one. Right? I hope you're not seeing yourself on this side, because this is one of my pet peeves, is that the amateurs are always looking for who can I blame because my team isn't growing as fast as I want. Who can I blame? Is it if only the comp plan was this and this and this way, oh man, I would really rock it, right? But it's the comp plan, or it's the company. You know, the company did this, or no, it's my sponsor, right? It's the guy. If it wasn't for that sponsor, you know, that guy, that genius that thought enough about me to call me, to email me, to introduce me if it wasn't for them, man, I would be rocking, right? You hear the excuses, right? You hear the excuses. No. If you want to become one of the millionaires, there is zero chance of excuses. There's no room for excuses, right? There's no room. Everybody has the same comp plan. Everybody has the same company, the same CEO, the same chief marketing officer, the same chief of network development. It's the same. It's the same comp plan. It's the same, right? Now it's up to you to take responsibility like a professional takes the responsibility for your network, okay? Takes the responsibility for attending training, takes the responsibility for learning the presentation better and better and better, all right? And so the last thing I'm going to mention here, and then I'm going to show you something called a three-way call that just, it's going to take some of your organizations to another level that you can't even imagine. And it's so simple and easy and simple that it can be duplicated in every country around the world. So the moment that you take responsibility for your actions, you're taking responsibility for growing your network, you really take total power. It's really amazing. It's like a weight is going to lift off your shoulder when you say, no, 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 I'm responsible. I'm going to learn. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep adjusting until I get this right. All right. So with that, I want to show you something. It's called a three-way call. All right. What is a three-way call? A three-way call is when you've got three people on the call, right? It's three, and what you've got some characters. You've got the partner, and let's say the partner is you. You're the partner, and you've got your prospect, and that's someone that you either want them to become a customer and use the ecosystem that Aurum has developed, or maybe you want them to eventually become a partner like you, but right now they're just looking at it. And then you've got what's called the expert. Can you see that there? The expert. Now, the expert is not an expert like you got to be Brian Benson or you got to be Ahmed Zen. That's not what I'm talking about. The expert is, write this down, anybody but you. Okay, the expert is anybody but you. It could be someone that you just sponsored. It could be your sponsor. It could be someone in your network that is involved in Aurum. But the expert, we're just using the term expert to demonstrate that it's not that they have all the answers. It's just a third person. And here's the really, really cool thing here is that I'm going to move to the next slide, and I'll show you how this dynamic works. Is you've got between the partner, and that's you. Let's say that you're the partner and you have a prospect. That person most likely, they know you, they like you, they trust you. There's a trust bond there where with the third party, they don't know the third party. And so there's no trust. There's no trust. They need you to build that trust. But what they'll have is they'll have respect, right? Like if it's a third party, even though your prospect knows you, that's why they're on the call, but you're introducing them to the expert. You're introducing them of which they're going to respect. All right, they don't maybe not trust them right now, but they're going to have respect to listen to the partner. So to the expert. And so what you want to do is you're introducing the two. You're going to edify. What edification means is you're going to say something nice about this expert, right? And you might say, "Oh, this is the genius that thought about me, and this is the genius that introduced me to Aurum." Right? That's kind of nice, right? I always call, the person that introduces, hey, who sponsored you? And they'll say it's Bob Smith or whoever. That's the genius, right? You always want to remember whoever introduced you, they got to be a genius because they thought about you, right? So you're going to say something nice and edify the expert no matter what. And then you're going to let them have a conversation. And the partner's job is to zip it. Once you do the introduction, zip it. Put duct tape on your mouth and don't say anything. So as they're having a conversation, about, the expert might say, well, I got involved with Aurum because all of the credibility. It's amazing that Forbes magazine and we're selected in the top 10. And there's Brian Benson. Man, it's amazing. He's going all over the world. And they might have this conversation, right? Why that this expert joined Aurum or what they see. And even, listen carefully, even if the expert makes a mistake, listen carefully to this, because I've seen this. I've seen this all over the world, and I've seen people become very wealthy using this very, very simple system. But even if they make a mistake, the partner never correct them live on the call. Why? Because if they say it's A, but it's really B, and you jump, hey, hold on, expert, that's not true. This is the way it works. If you do that, you just blew the respect. that the prospect will have. You just blew their credibility, and you just blew their edification. All right. So do not interfere. Just your role is to introduce those two and let them have a conversation. It could be for 5 minutes. It's not a presentation. It's just this is why I got involved and this is what I see and it's awesome and nice to meet you and have a nice day. Right. It can be that. It could be very, very 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. It's just, and I'll tell you a couple stories. I remember I recruited one of the top networkers in the world, And you know who my expert was? A 71-year-old lady who she told her story. I said, hey, her name was Joan. I said, hey, Joan, tell your story. Tell this gentleman your story. Oh my God. I mean, she says, I've only been involved for like 6 months and I've already been able to have enough money to put a deposit on my first house at 71 years old. So she's going on all excited. And Shane, you don't know this, but I just bought a brand new washing machine for the first time in my life and a brand new dryer for the first time. And I paid cash with it today. And I didn't tell you, I didn't have time. And so this professional over here was listening to this story and says, oh my God, how long have you been in the industry? She goes, industry? Never. She goes, I thought it was illegal. I never got involved. This is the first time, right? And so this person, because it was the story, a simple, easy story, and they were just talking to each other, asking questions. Another individual considered himself a professional. His partner, the person that enrolled another example is he was a businessman. Let's call him a businessman. He had some money and he was a businessman, but the person that enrolled him, in other words, his sponsor, was only 23 years old. Okay. So as this businessman was going out and introducing a concept to his prospects, he was not using three-way calling. He wasn't using it. He was trying to do it all himself, and it was going nowhere. His business was going nowhere. It was not building as fast, as strong as it could be. And then we kind of looked at his business, say, what are you doing? And we noticed that he wasn't doing any three-way calls. We said, look, you got to introduce your prospects to your sponsor. Like that would be easy. Hey, this is my sponsor. Tell your story. Very easy. And he didn't want to do it because he was only 23 years old. Right? He says, no, I mean, I've got way more experience than this guy. Why would I put him on the phone? He couldn't understand, but what he didn't, remember was his partner was a millionaire because of this industry. All right. And then all of a sudden, when he got it, all he started doing is introducing all his friends to the person that sponsored him, this 23-year-old young guy, and just letting them talk for 5 or 10 minutes. And thank you very much. And he started enrolling. This is called a three-way call. And we can do role plays in the future. It's a lot of fun. If you learn the magic of a three-way call, if you learn the power of a three-way call, you will become a professional. You want to become a professional three-way caller. But remember, partners, your role is not to try to sell or convince your prospect. That's not what a three-way call is. All you want to do is introduce your prospect to somebody that's not you. Somebody that's not you. That's the best way. The expert is anybody that is not you. All right. I'm fired up. I'm excited about this, about everything we're doing here at Aurum. This is the ecosystem. I love this slide because it talks about the whole ecosystem. But when you're introducing brand new people, you can kind of, talk a little bit, but don't get into the weeds on all of the magic that's going behind the scenes. You want to typically just maybe talk about the XAI bot, something simple, or if they don't have a Visa card now for their crypto, very easy and simple. And the concept is this, and I'll leave you with this for this mastery call. And I'll never forget the conversation that I had with Brian. Brian was explaining, Shane, Aurum is the entire ecosystem. This is the entire ecosystem. And when someone is just getting started, let's say it's you and it's your first week or your first month, or you're just learning about this massive ecosystem, it's true that it is massive, that it's brilliant. And it might take you some time to learn all the benefits of the exchange and the Visa and the real world assets and all of the different things that are going on behind the scenes. But maybe you pick a product like the XAI bot, like as an introduction, and you focus on the XAI bot, letting the person know that's not all we have. This is just one product that we're going to show you, but focus, get good at onboarding, get good at getting someone started, become a professional at getting someone started, because what Brian said, and it's so true, and you've probably already realized this if you're a partner, once someone comes into the Aurum ecosystem, they're not going to leave. They're not going to leave because it's so powerful. We got the XAI bot, but now we got the XAI Pro. We got the Zeus bots that are amazing. And what I'm noticing is more and more and more and more people are discovering on their own. They're discovering on their own the Pro. They're discovering on their own the Zeus. They're looking at, oh, there's an exchange. And some people like trading and some people don't like trading. And that's okay. But if they do, we have an exchange, right? And there's a Visa card, right? How many people do you know that have crypto and they have no way of spending it? We've got a solution on that, you see? And so they can learn as they go. With the RWA that was just announced with gold, now our customers and our partners can now access the gold market, and they don't need, $5,600 to buy an ounce of gold. They can come in with $100, with 250, with whatever they can. But now they've got some gold ownership, real world assets. Is this exciting? What an exciting time it is to be learning about the Aurum ecosystem. And the whole purpose of today's call is to start. I want you to consider, in your mind first, that you're moving every day a little closer, even more and more and more and more professional. And I don't mean by professional that you have to be complicated. No, you want to keep it simple, right? And so again, if you're brand new, you don't have to know everything about Aurum. What you can do is grab an introduction video. There's a lot of them, or go on to a live call in all kinds of languages. They're in all kinds of languages. If you subscribe to the Telegram group, the Aurum Telegram group, they're always posting whether it's Italian or whether it's Spanish or German or whether it's from Indonesia or whatever language. And if your language isn't there now, reach out and let us know. If there's enough of a momentum, if there's enough of a movement with your language, we'll get it done for you. It's in the company's best interest to have more languages onboarded so that we can share this gift of the Aurum Foundation with people all over the world. And with that, my name is Shane Morand. Thank you so much for joining us this week on the Aurum Mastery Call. And we will see you here next week, same time, same place. Don't miss it. Be here with your team. We have an amazing topic next week. Again, one more last thing before we go. Remember, if you like what you heard today and your team, your whole team, maybe they're sleeping in New Zealand and they weren't on the call, in a couple days, you just go to YouTube and it's Aurum_Foundation. Get the video, grab the video, send it on to your team, and let's grow this thing bigger, better, faster, stronger. And with that, have a great week. It's going to be awesome. We've got lots of things moving, a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. I'm excited for you as a partner. The best is yet to come. All right. With that, we'll see you right here next week on the Aurum Mastery. Bye for now.
Record.